Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we're looking at a pretty nice Tuesday night slate here. In this one, we're going to take a look at the Phoenix Suns hosting the Brooklyn Nets, and Kyrie Irving likely playing there. We'll take a look at James Harden, currently, I believe, a game time decision. So definitely want to stay on top of who is coming in and out of those lineups today. Nate does have his great article up on playpicks.com with some best bets and player props in there for you. And make sure you do like and subscribe to that page, as we got a couple other videos up for you today, including that player props video we're looking to stay hot with after starting the week 3-1. And as always, if you do still need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to fdpicks.com or dkpicks.com and find those listings in your area, such as what we've got for tonight. Nate, let's get into it.
Yeah, the Nets are now plus 5.5, where they opened at plus 7 in Phoenix. That total's been bet up from 227 to around 230, getting some action to come back down a little bit, but I think it might top out at 230 here. We got 6 other games on the slate tonight. The other one we break down is Warriors minus 2.5 at the Spurs. That total's been bet down from 227 to 225. We also got Bulls minus 9 hosting the Magic. We got the Wolves minus 4.5 hosting the Nuggets. Jokic is a game time decision there, as is D'Angelo Russell. The Raptors are minus 2 at home against the Heat. Both teams are on a back-to-back there. Bucks minus 11 hosting the Wizards without Bradley Beal. And the Pelicans are plus 2 at Detroit. So Brooklyn, we don't know if James Harden's going to play at this point, but he did practice on Monday. He's been out a week with someone ailing hamstring and a hand issue. And this being the second game of a 5-game road trip for the Nets. They're in Sacramento tomorrow, which is a team that's really struggling. I would expect them to try to get Harden and Kyrie both out there tonight and maybe rest Harden tomorrow if the hamstring's still bothering him, because they really need to snap out of this. They've lost 5 of 7 now without Kevin Durant and lost 4 straight. They've also lost 4 straight when Harden's been out. He's missed 2 during that streak, but they just can't get it right here in terms of their defense, especially without Kevin Durant. In those 7 games, they're 26th in rating. They're still number 8 in offensive rating. They're still scoring 112.5, but giving up nearly 116 points per game. And you see the numbers when they have Kyrie Irving. Of course, he's now played in 8 road games, 5-3 to the over in those games. Their offensive rating jumps to 121.6. That's 10 more points per 100 possessions. And they're scoring 9 more points per game at 118.5. So I understand why the over is being bet up a little bit here. And it makes sense, especially because the Suns are actually a little bit faster at home. They give up more points per game. In their last 6 at home, they're actually giving up 110 points per game. And they rank 25th in 3-point defense, 6th in 3-point shooting on the other side of the ball. Now, neither of these teams shoot a lot of threes, but they will be efficient, it seems, when they get their looks. Obviously, Phoenix is a team you can bank on to win. They've won 10 straight. They've won 13 in their last 14. They're 40-9 on the season. But this against the spread numbers are much less impressive this year. 21-5 at home, but 12-14 against the spread. 14-2 against the Eastern Conference, but 9-7 against the spread. So I'm not ready to just bank on them covering 6 points here against the Nets team that I think, is really going to go hard for this win to try to snap their skid. But neither am I banking on the Nets to be able to play with, only maybe one of their big 3 in terms of Kyrie. They're also missing LaMarcus Aldridge. Claxton is still not at full strength to man that middle. So what I would lean towards is a Suns tease down to -2, around 2.5, and get that total down to 225 and then take the over. I think that's a really good time to use the teaser in the game like this, because we expect both teams to get their offense. When Kyrie Irving's out there, he's just instant offense for this team. You see they're scoring 119. The Suns, can win anyway, and if they're playing a team that's going to try to outgun them, they will come right back. Devin Booker, Chris Paul will be great targets on prop bets in that case. So I would look at the Nets team total, actually over 110.5, as well as the over here if you can get it at a reasonable mark. Otherwise, I would tease it down and take the Suns to win with that over at a lower point.
Yep, I'm vibing. I mean, the over is usually the play here when you talk about Kyrie being in the game, for sure. You talk about the Nets on the road as well. Their offense has been better on the road this season, where it's been really bad at home. Actually, there were some crazy splits earlier in the season. They probably evened out a bit, but it's like 5 more 3-pointers made a game on the road. Their percentages were like 6% better on the road everywhere in terms of their shooting. But the other thing I'm actually looking at that's a little bit surprising, now that we have a decent sample size without Kevin Durant, their offensive rating is actually 2 points better this season when he's off the floor. I'm not in any way indicating that they're a better offensive team without the greatest offensive forward of all time on the floor. I'm just saying that's the numbers right now. Their defensive rating is where it's huge. Their defensive rating is 117.5 without KD this season, 109 with him. I mean, we talked about it starting when he was on the Warriors. I feel like was when we all started to realize that he's 7 feet tall and can actually protect the rim as well, which is something that he's been able to do and make up for the fact that their bigs are dudes that can't jump over a piece of paper in Blake Griffin and LaMarcus Aldridge this season. I think that the defensive rating going up is something to look at as well. Yes, the Phoenix can win however you want. They don't cover, to your point, when they're at home right now as home favorites. They just win seemingly. Just a huge stark contrast there. But it's really all about the fact that no matter what's happening in the first 3 quarters of the game, this team is the best fourth quarter team in the league right now by far. Not surprising. That's usually the case when you have Chris Paul. I mean, he's got incredible individual numbers in the fourth quarter. But then if you look at every single relevant stat to the fourth points given up, their plus minus, they're all of their per 36 numbers. They're just the best team in the league in the fourth quarter, scoring, like I said, scoring the most points, best field goal percentage, best 3-point percentage. They just get hot and they make all the right plays, and Chris Paul just starts owning the game at that point and doing what he does. So without James Harden, if he doesn't play tonight, either like as far as the over goes, would feel way better about it if he was in, just because as we've talked about since last season, these two guys are probably the two most capable guys of your turn, my turn than any two that we've seen maybe ever at this point in terms of just hoopers that can go out there and get buckets whenever they want and not worried about anything else going on the court. Kyrie being in the game, Kevin Durant not being in the game, all these things lead to the over for sure. I don't think they'll be able to stop the Suns in any way, shape, or form. And to your point, because of that record that the Suns have straight up versus against the spread when they're at home as well, I would love to just find a way to get the Suns down to that money line. And there's some pretty decent player performance doubles on FanDuel right now that I would look to hit. I believe we mentioned Devin Booker 30 plus right now is about plus 150 on FanDuel. If they get a win with him getting 30, we like points in this game, so feel good about that. Chris Paul to just hit 1 3-pointer and them to win, that gets you down to minus 130 at least on that money line. So it's at least worth hitting. Chris Paul versus the Nets has been more than good, and we know what opposing point guards do to the Brooklyn Nets is they give up a ton of points and assists to opposing point guards this season, especially. But in his last 3 versus the Nets, 22 points, 5 boards, and 7 assists on 52-43 splits. So he's going 3 for 7 from 3 in his bunch of last games, his last 3 games versus Brooklyn. So I do like that 1 3-pointer there. You could even get 10 assists, or the double-double gets you about even money as well on FanDuel there. It's right at even money. I do think he's going to get a ton of assists in this game as well. So I think he's going to control the game. I think they're going to pull it out. I just don't know if Kyrie is going to go crazy on him and hold this game close until the end, which is why I'd rather just take that money line and feel better about it.
Yeah, I mean, the Nets, you mentioned their home road splits, and they're still there, especially with this Kyrie effect now. They're increasing even more. True. 6 more points per game on the road, 8 more points per 100 possessions, 3-point percentage up 7 points from 31 to 38%. And I mentioned that the Suns are struggling to guard the 3-point line a little bit. So with Kyrie breaking guys down, there's going to be a lot of open looks for Patty Mills and company, the guys who can spread the floor around these guys. And if Harden's out there too, I definitely like the points here. So I would bet it this afternoon in the hopes that Harden plays, because again, he practiced Monday, and if you can get like 111 for the Nets to score 111, and those two guys are out there, you're going to get there. And also, if they're scoring 118, and the only time they've gone under really with Kyrie out there is when the other team struggles, like the Spurs only scored 102 against them. But the Suns, you're not going to expect to struggle offensively. They're number 2 in offensive rating in their last 10 here. number 2 at home. And Booker, you mentioned, is absolutely in fuego, 33.3 points per game right now at a 37% usage rate. So, yeah, I was sticking with my pick there for Nets team total over, hoping James Harden plays and expecting the Suns to probably win a close one. If you don't want to tease it in this game, I mean, you could use either teaser with another game on this slate. We mentioned in the Warriors game, we like them to win. We probably like the under if you can tease that up. So think of a way to play it around here with the 7-game slate on Tuesday to get the value you want.
For sure. And just adding one last thing to all of that in terms of the over, you look at who's sitting for the Suns, and you've got no DeAndre Ayton and you've got no Jay Crowder. And those two guys specifically, their defensive rating jumps up a bit when DeAndre Ayton's not playing. It jumps up a bit when Jay Crowder's not playing. It jumps up even more to about 111 versus 108 when he is playing. You're talking about, DeAndre Ayton's had an incredible defensive rating all season, and so has Jay Crowder individually. I think points is the play and get ahead of Harden, hopefully playing in this one if they want to try to make any kind of statement, especially because you've got Kyrie Irving. You can't waste these times where he's playing. You've really got to try to squeeze the most out of these games and get these W's on the road if you're going to be playing him in these situations. So that is all the time we have for you in this one. Make sure you are liked and subscribed to that page. Got those other couple videos for you and a player props video where we will offer you a gift card opportunity. So make sure you check that out. And until we see you next, happy betting.